Let's begin with the explanation, children. When I was a very young man, I was invited to dine at the house of a philanthropist. So the writer begins by telling that he was invited to have dinner. Dine means to have dinner at the house of a philanthropist. Philanthropist is a wealthy person who gives money and time to help other people. After a wonderful dinner, our hostess took us to a large drawing room. And the writer tells us that after they had finished with their dinner, the hostess, that is the woman who had invited the writer, took them to a large drawing room. Chairs were being arranged. I'm arranging the chairs for a concert, my hostess said. We are going to listen to a very good pianist. And the hostess told the writer, that is Jerome, that these chairs were being arranged for a concert. Concert means performance of music by players or singers. So she had planned a concert, and this concert was going to be held by a very good pianist, that is someone who plays piano. Though everyone else was very happy, I was not. But the writer was not very happy with the idea of the concert. I did not understand classical music, and there was a reason to it. The reason was that the writer did not understand classical music. I thought I was tone deaf, and he had a belief that he was a tone deaf person, that is unable to hear the difference between high and low notes of music, the high notes and the low notes. I sat down so that I would not be impolite and waited for the concert to begin. Now, it would have been very impolite of the writer that having a dinner and just leaving, not listening to the concert. It would not look nice. So, because he did not want to be impolite, he waited for the concert to begin. I did not pay attention to the music after it began, and he was just sitting over there, but he was not interested in listening to the music which was being played by the uh, pianist. After a while, I heard everyone clapping, so I realized that the piece was over. So, usually, a piece is played and then the audience applauds the performer. So, here also the piece was over and everybody started clapping in the audience. And then Jerome realized that a piece was over. Just then, I heard a gentle but firm voice saying, "You are fond of Bach?" And there was somebody who was sitting beside him. And though he didn't see who was sitting beside him, but the voice which he heard, he thought that it was a very firm voice. And this firm voice had asked him a question, and that was whether he was fond of Bach. Bach is the full name of Bach is John Sebastian Bach, a German organist and composer of 17th century. I knew as much about Bach as I did about nuclear physics. So, in a way, the writer wants to tell us that he did not know anything about Bach, just as he did not know about nuclear physics. I was going to say something ordinary so that I could get out of the situation. Wanted to be very straightforward because he wanted to get out of this situation. I turned in order to look at my neighbor, and I saw a very famous face. Now, when he looked looked at the person who had asked him a question, looked at his neighbor who had asked him a question, who was sitting beside him, he saw a very famous face. It was someone with a shock of white hair and a pipe. So he felt as if he had seen this face before also. And why? Because the hair was completely white, and this person had a shock of white hair, a thick bushy mass of hair on his head. Along with it, he had a pipe in his mouth. Pipe is a tube with a small bowl at one end used for smoking. And by this description, we come to know that his neighbor or the person who was sitting beside him and had asked him this question about Bach was Albert Einstein. I knew that I must tell this man the truth, and he didn't want to hide anything from him. He just wanted to tell the truth. He looked at me as if my answer was very important. Now, Albert Einstein was looking at Jerome in such a manner as if he wanted an answer from Jerome. And his answer was very important for him. I do not know anything about Bach, I said. I have never heard any of his music. He looked surprised, and when this answer came from Jerome that he had never heard of Bach nor he had heard his music, Albert Einstein looked very surprised. He was very much taken aback. You have never heard of Bach? He asked, and he asked a question in return to Jerome that, what are you saying? You mean to say that you have never heard about Bach? He made it sound as if I had said that I had never taken a bath. Now, the way he had reacted, Albert Einstein had reacted to the answer of Jerome. Jerome felt as if he had told Albert Einstein that he never takes bath, because that was the surprise which he could see on Albert Einstein's face. I would like to understand music so that I could understand Bach, I said, but I am not able to. I am tone deaf. And then he tells what his problem was to Albert Einstein, that though he wishes to understand music and understand Bach, but he is unable to just because he is a tone deaf person who does not understand what are the high notes and the low notes in music. There are two questions here, children. What was the entertainment arranged for by the hostess? So the entertainment arranged for by the hostess was a concert by a pianist, that is Bach. And the second question, what was the writer's reaction to classical music? So how did the writer react when he was told that Bach, a pianist, was going to perform in the concert? So the writer's reaction to classical music was that he was not very happy because he did not understand classical music and he believed that he was tone deaf. So when Jerome expressed that he wishes to understand classical music and understand Bach, the old man got up. You will come up with me, he asked. So he got up and he asked Jerome to follow him. I just remained seated. To this, Jerome did not react and he was still seated. I'm requesting you to come with me, he said again. And again he requested Jerome that he should accompany him. So I went up with him. He took me to a room which had a gramophone in it and asked, what kind of music do you like? Now, Albert Einstein took Jerome to a room which had a gramophone. Gramophone is a machine for playing recorded music. You can see the image of gramophone here, and here also in this image we have been shown gramophone. And he asked Jerome that just tell me, what kind of music do you listen to? Well, I answered, I like songs that have words and the kind of music where I can follow the tune. And he told that he likes to listen to the songs which have wordings in it. Along with it, he likes that kind of music which he can follow, which he can understand. So children, now we'll go to the next video for the further lesson.